one of my closer friends was like, "Hey, how's your music?" And they just asked about it. And I remember having like nothing new to report. And I'm just like, "Oh, wow." And so that person actually made my accountability partner. I was like, "Hey, like, could you just ask me that once a month?"
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Successfully Unsigned. I am Dale Shack, and this week we're back at you with a normal episode of our podcast, Successfully Unsigned. As always, don't forget to hit that like, hit that subscribe, rate us on your favorite streaming platform. Let us know where you're listening at. We would love to know whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Samsung Podcasts, straight from our website, wherever that happens to be, please let us know. Speaking of which, don't forget to visit our website at su-podcast.com. You can find more of our content there and a little bit about us. It feels like it's been an eternity since the three of us have all sat down in the same episode together, and we're excited to talk about a few things, namely inspiration, fulfillment, and taking breaks, and how important all three of those things are to your career as a musician, as an artist, and just life in general as a human being on the planet we call Earth. We are so excited to share these new thoughts with you, and we would love to hear what your thoughts are about what we discuss here in this episode and any other episode that you've listened to. Let us know down in the comments or find us on Instagram at successfully_unsigned. We're also on TikTok at Unsigned Podcast. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Successfully Unsigned. I am one of your three favorite co-hosts, D-Shack,
Patty G,
DJ Overheat.
And we are so happy to be back here once again with you. Again, this is Successfully Unsigned. Go follow us on Instagram at successfully_unsigned. You can find us on TikTok at Unsigned Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, everywhere else. Apple Podcasts, Samsung Podcasts is still an oddly large place for us. If you listen on Samsung Podcast, let us know. We want to know who you are. And I don't know, maybe we'll give you a round of applause and thank you again and everything else that comes along with it. Exactly.
I'm so proud of you, Dale. You did a normal intro.
But
you brought
Dale,
out that NPR voice and really just sold it.
Can we just address the elephant in the room? People are like, who is this person? Like, address where you've been and what happened to you.
Man, it has been a crazy little bit. I've been gone from the podcast for about a month now. I've been out of state. Traveled down to Mississippi to play in the World Series of Stickball at the Choctaw Indian World Fair. And that was a fun time. Got to spend some time down there around some really, really good friends. Played in the tournament. And then went to Oklahoma, where I'm from. Where all my family lives, and worked there for the Chickasaw Nation for 2 weeks teaching at a youth art academy. Taught the theater tech class, and really, really proud of my student that was there. She ended up mixing the entire show by herself, which we did in Into the Woods Junior.
Love Into the Woods. Such a good show.
And that was my first time being around it. I'd seen bits and pieces of like the movie, but
no, the movie does not count. I need to show you the like original Broadway cast. I finally found it on DVD, and it is so good. One of my favorite musicals.
Well, this was my first experience with it, and I was impressed. It was a lot of fun. The kids that acted did great. Of course, the whole Youth Art Academy is where I got my start doing anything audio, anything tech related. The first time I ever got, any hands on any faders was there. Yeah. And so it's really special for me personally to get to go back and kind of give back to my origins, and also the younger generation that is coming in and learning these things. And I was, like I said, I was thrilled that the student I had completely mixed that show. She did a fantastic job, and as all the kids do there. It's really a great experience for all of them.
Maybe one of the kids will end up on our show one day.
Maybe so.
Maybe so.
When they're big and famous. When we're big and famous.
They can work for us if they want.
Oh.
No?
Okay. If you want to work for us.
Yeah.
Without any pay.
Without any pay. Yeah. we'll pay you in compliments and be like, that was a good job.
You did an excellent job.
That was awesome. But like you said, your stickball thing too. I was like, I saw the video of the commentators or whatever.
They're funny.
You had that
Yeah.
one play. I don't even know what
I
happened
had
in
one
it.
play.
It was like,
one real play.
Dale Shackelford, nice retrieve there. And it's like people piling on top of each other. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
You really should watch it. You should watch stickball. Like, as someone
It's
who hates,
interesting.
someone who hates sports, it's actually very enjoyable to watch. And
fun to
commentators are funny.
So
Yeah.
I have forgotten to tell y'all. I should have told you before the episode started. I will be gone for another weekend in September to go to another tournament.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I'll be with
that'll
him.
be in Oklahoma. Going down there to play, and we drew to play our rivals in the first round of this tournament. So excited about that. It's been a minute since I've played against them.
Not the rivals.
Not the rivals. We're gonna play against Tuskahoma at Tuskahoma. So it'll be a fun, hard fought
I love it.
game.
Love it.
And I'm moving to offense because I don't run that much anymore for midfield. So
Oh, you finally are making the move.
well, I wanted to.
Okay.
But this tournament also, the World Series has a bunch of different age divisions, and the division that I play in is the men's division, which is 18 and up, specifically. There's also a 35 and up, and then they have some youth divisions as well. But it's 18 and up for the men's and the women's as well. However, at Tuskahoma, the Labor Day Festival, they don't have any youth division tournaments, and so their ages they allow. I don't know what the official age is now. It's probably 16, but they allow kids that are younger. Older teenagers, 16, 17, to play with the adults as well. Now, when I first started playing stickball with the team officially, there wasn't an age minimum. So I started playing. I think I was 13 or 14. Well, I was 13 when I joined the team. I think my first tournament down there, I was probably 14 at. Anyway. So we have a lot of younger kids that are, athletic and running all the time and playing, sports in school. And the younger kids, like I was at that point in time, usually get sent to midfield. That's kind of a good place for a lot of them to start when they're coming up and they're working on their stick skills still, but they have the energy and the stamina to just run all day.
So for people who don't know, stickball is like lacrosse, right?
It's very similar to lacrosse.
Okay.
So lacrosse comes from a lot of the tribes up north. The Iroquois Confederacy, I think the Cherokee play, they have their own kind of thing, which is kind of a mix between the Southern stickball and kind of lacrosse.
Yeah.
Stickball, as I play it, is a Chickasaw Choctaw sport, Southeastern. The Creek will play it, Seminole will play it, Yuchi, I think, play it. The Shawnee, I think, play it. There's a number of different tribes that play it. Anyway, it's the southern version of it, and in my opinion, the harder version.
No, it definitely is.
It's
so
a lot
difficult.
of fun.
You should have seen me. I was at this man's house. He's like, can we throw around the stickball? I'm like, sure, dude. Yeah, easy. And then he gave me the stick, and I was like, there's no way you're asking me to catch that ball in this thing. The net is like, it's probably a solo cup thick. Like you cannot. It's so because you have to clap.
And unlike lacrosse, instead of one stick, you have two for stickball.
Two, yeah.
For
You have
Chickasaw
to-
Choctaw stickball, you have two sticks that you're using to pick up, throw, catch, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And those guys, when you're out on the field playing, will chunk that ball, as hard as they can. And that ball is about the size of a golf ball.
Yeah.
And the game balls are all leather. They're hard. Getting hit with it hurts.
Yeah.
Because they'll throw them at 70, 80 miles an hour as far and as hard
my
as they
goodness,
can.
Yeah.
And there's people that catch them, just whoosh, catch and throw back,
Yeah.
It's hard to do in a game. It's hard to catch in a game.
Muscle memory thing. I feel like
It is.
You have to have done it forever.
And a lot of players have played their entire life. Like they're born with a pair of sticks in their hands, as we'll say.
Yeah.
You go down there. In some places in Mississippi and in some places in Oklahoma, you'll see stickball poles, out in people's yards, just like you'd see like a basketball goal, in a lot of suburbs and whatever. And like in housing neighborhoods, just, everybody's got a basketball goal. Well, yeah. But then, in some places, everybody's got a stickball pole. And so when I go home, we got a stickball pole in the back that I go, throw around it.
Nice. But we're glad that you've held it down for us playing stickball. And we have held it down for you on the podcast.
Yes, you
Lots of
have.
interviews.
Yeah. We met a lot of people while you were gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't watched, guys, go watch our interview with Anna Wagner. And then we did an interview with Swift Artists. It was a really fun episode. And then we just released the interview with Samo Sage last week. So check
and
that
Johnston.
one
And
out. And
Turney.
Johnston Ellis. We interviewed Johnston too. I don't want to forget about that.
Yeah.
I'm excited to
So
see
we
that
got
one.
4 interviews in while you were gone.
Yeah, there was one week we did 3. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And
but-
shout out to David for doing Samo Sage.
Same Sage, yeah. That
Yeah.
was. We had Melody back on the show. It was just a really fun
And
episode. It was
we've
hilarious.
talked about Tonka a lot on our podcast.
Yes.
And we've met him quite a few times, all 3 of us. But never were able to get him on the show. So I'm excited to listen to it. I'm gonna try and listen to it tomorrow.
Yeah, it was a fun show. Definitely Blackheart Sage. Shout out to you, bro. You made that episode so hilarious.
I'm excited. I liked his
love
fit.
it.
Just
Oh
from
yeah,
the
he
little
was
bit that's
wearing
all.
the pants were
They're so
amazing.
good. I want them.
Amazing. Yeah, but we are back. All 3 of us. Just us doing an episode. It's felt like forever.
It's been quite a while.
But we're back, and
The last time that we did it was the day before I got laid off, which I've made my entire personality of
Yeah,
being
yeah.
unemployed. So
Hey, you're so
He's
sorry.
He's a lazy
no, don't be
slacker,
sorry.
man.
You know, I've really been enjoying my time.
Oh yeah. Hey man.
So shout out to the Tennessee government for unemployment money.
Is that still pretty good? I don't know.
It's not bad. I mean, on top of my severance pay,
Oh, yeah.
I'll be able to live till October.
This man's mad chilling.
Till October?
Nice. This man got to put in a resume
assuming
till
because
September.
I'm not spending as much. Okay, let me not. Well, I'm not spending as
My
much.
finances,
so
yeah.
I'm not
Let's break
spending
it
as
down.
much. So what I'm getting from unemployment, a lot of it I can just put right into savings. So I think I should be okay till October.
So do you want to buy me some stuff?
I don't have extra money.
Yeah. And
That's
all
the
that
only
you probably
thing.
have to pay back at the end of the year too, with the unemployment probably. Don't you have to pay it back?
I don't know.
I don't even
I just signed the things.
don't know. But anyways, we're not talking about unemployment tonight.
It could be.
That's next week. We'll talk about unemployment.
Poor starving artists, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
So that, I mean, it relates. We're talking about time management this week as an artist, because if you're like me or like Dale or maybe like Patty G, we all mismanage our time in different ways. Not on purpose, just it happens. And as an artist, it can be tough to kind of stay on your stuff with writing and recording and marketing and social media and all of that. And also it can feel a little overwhelming. So I thought we'd do this episode to talk about the benefits of rest and also just how to manage your time effectively when you're trying to release something or when you're just working on your music, not to, overdo it or anything and burn yourself out. So.
And some of us are definitely better with time management than others.
Why are you looking at me?
What? This man is gone for an entire month and he's like, time management?
I'm choosing violence, man.
Yeah, hold on.
Choosing violence.
But first, show and yell, right?
Show
Show and yell
Okay.
first. Ba-doo. Oh. Guys, we're getting back into the flow of it. Give us some grace, okay? People are like, what? Is this their first episode? No.
Literally.
It might be.
Yeah.
I don't remember any
Who's
of the
going
others.
first?
So.
Who's going first?
I'll go first. So this is a book that I got. It's called David Overstreet. It's really, really good. I'm just kidding. It's a cigar holder, guys.
Yell.
Oh, it's a cigar holder. Hey. And it's also a humidifier for my cigars too. I haven't gotten any to go in it yet, but it's like a portable humidifier.
Humidifier, that's the thing that keeps you from getting nosebleeds at night, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That works too. I have one of those in my room and it's a lifesaver.
They
I love
are
it.
great. I used to use them as a kid a lot.
Yeah, but this obviously, I'm not a cigar aficionado, but every now and then I'll light a stogie. And so, a friend got me this a while ago and I was like, this is actually a really good gift, so I'm going to cherish it. It has my name on it. Anytime someone gets you something with your name on it, it's automatically.
Yeah, especially when it's a
Super.
tattoo. If you're out there, one of our audience members, especially if you're in a relationship, you should get a tattoo of your significant other's name.
Yeah.
Somewhere on your body. Maybe lower back, something like that.
Oh my gosh.
That explains a lot about
Wow.
you, Patrick.
That's wow. The tattoo thing is, I saw somebody got a tattoo of Trump on their forehead, just
no.
the word Trump. And so I'm like,
I mean,
that's going to be tough to explain to the kids.
do you guys know that video?
Oh boy.
Do you guys know that video of that old guy in the MAGA? And he's like, save us, Donald Trump. Save us, please. Save us, Donald Trump. Literally as if like, I don't know. He's like being arrested or something.
That's crazy.
And he's like, Donald Trump, can you hear me? Donald Trump, save us, please, Donald Trump. It is so funny. I quote it all the time. I'm like, Donald Trump, save us.
Save us, Donald Trump. Yeah.
Patrick would do that with Selena, though.
Selena. Yeah, well, except she's not alive.
Wouldn't that like be a...
But Donald Trump is alive.
Yeah, but, you know...
As far as we know.
Spirits can hear, man, you know?
Okay, go.
Well, I have an old tie. It's actually a very special tie to me. This is not one that I've really ever worn. It's not really my style, and I don't wear a lot of like neckties like this. However, this tie was given to me by my grandfather, and it was given to him by his father-in-law, so my grandmother's father. And so it was just kind of a neat tie that he gave me when I was probably a teenager. He never wore it. My grandfather, to my knowledge, never wore it. It was too short for him. But from what I know, or what I've been told, my grandmother's father, who was the first owner of this, was not a very tall man, so I guess fit him. It is why I get it. But it's very neat. I've always kind of like, there's a little bit of a texture in it. There's just some kind of like almost diamond-like shapes and some cross hatches that kind of reflect the light in different ways, along with, of course, the pattern on the front. So
I like the color.
yeah, it's a beautiful kind of emerald kind of color. So
Emerald.
Yeah, gives Wizard of Oz vibes.
It kind of looks like the Diamondbacks logo, like the baseball team, the Diamondbacks.
I can kind of see that. Yeah.
Like is it Arizona Diamondbacks? Yeah.
Kind of looks like it'd be for like some sort of anime or like Pokemon. Like gym leader.
That is so weird you said that. That's exactly what I was thinking.
See?
Reminds me
Oh,
of boomerangs.
It doesn't. I was wrong. I feel like when's the last time you had something that wasn't clothing as you're showing out? I mean, it's great. I love it. I mean, I need to have more clothing as my showing.
It was like,
out.
here's my t-shirt I've worn for the past 3 days.
This is my wife beater, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I do have some of those. I used to wear those pretty regularly because
Yeah,
they're
you
really
did.
comfortable.
Yeah.
And so if I was
They're
just
so
like
comfortable.
hanging around the house, like that's what I was in. Of course,
Yeah.
I was doing the whole trailer park thing and be like up above my gut.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there watching TV like.
Yeah, I have a really great picture of him.
Oh no.
Like he's in this like white trash white beater, and he's just in like this belly out, and it's like just halfway up his stomach.
Not
I'll
the
have to show it to you
belly,
after.
bro.
I hate that it's really comfortable. Like if you're ever sitting there watching a movie and it's just hot, right?
Dale,
Like
this is not something you share on a podcast.
You got your
Digital
AC on.
footprint.
I ain't ashamed.
Okay.
I ain't ashamed because it's comfortable, man.
You guys have probably seen it on the show.
Well, I mean, there's like barely any
belly
air
is-
in your house. So.
His belly is always sticking out.
Oh my goodness.
Not like that.
Don't grab it like that. Was
But like his shirt always rides up.
It does. It does.
Why
And I
were
don't.
you able to?
I haven't been to the gym in a while. Okay, David.
He was like folding it. It was crazy.
But no, like if you're sitting there in a house and it gets hot, right, and like you got your air on, but it's still just kind of warm in there, and you're watching a movie, especially if you just by yourself or whatever. Take the bottom of your shirt and stick it up on top of your stomach. You'll be surprised at how much like heat just leaves your body.
What if people's shirt doesn't balance on the top of their stomach?
Well, then go. I don't know. Go eat a few sandwiches, drink some sodas, throw your gut out a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Food baby.
Get a little food, baby.
Get the food baby. Okay.
Thanks
Thanks for the advice, dude.
Yeah, I'm not a medical professional, but you know what?
Really?
I know, shocking.
That is shocking.
But food is good for you. It's nutritious.
That is a quote. That's a shirt. Food is good for you.
Food is good for you.
Well,
so
some.
Anyway,
We
Patrick.
need to move on. We haven't done this in a while, obviously. Big Bird! This is a Big Bird chair for a child, so I do not use it, but my plushies will use it. This is from, I forget what year, but I had seen it on like some random screenshot on Facebook, and it was, I don't even know what it was for, but I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I would like always see it on the internet, but I never saw it for sale or anything. To be fair, I didn't like actively look it up. But then I saw it in a store one time and I was like, oh my goodness, I've seen this chair online and I really want it. But it was like $100. And I was like, $100? So
wow.
then I was just scrolling through Facebook Marketplace and I found this chair for I think $25, something like that. And so I instantly got it, and I did drive an hour and a half away to Clarksville for it.
So all that gas money.
The catch.
But
I knew there was something in there.
I
$25.
drove from work, so it was more like just an hour.
Oh, okay.
And then I drove home.
Don't justify this man.
No, I'm not being sarcastic.
Not only that, first off, it was this very kind of sketchy place. Like, she easily could have shot me.
I feel like a lot of your stories somehow get you in places you should not be.
I think it's from the 70s because she was saying it was this older, like once the lady came out, I was like, okay, she's safe. But like the people who were driving by looked kind of like redneck. No offense. Okay, when I go to a redneck place, this is usually how I look, and I do not fit in.
Yeah.
You should tell the story at some point of the first time you went to the Woodbury Flea Market with me and Caleb.
I mean, nothing happened.
Nothing
I just
happened,
was
but
wearing watermelon shorts, and I just obviously did not fit in.
He was, it was.
Is he wearing pink? Shoot him. We're like,
literally,
we were worried.
Literally. So, just sometimes I get a little sketched out around those areas. But this lady was super sweet. She's like, well, it was my son's back in the 70s, and then I passed it down to his grandchildren. Now they're getting a little older for it, so. She did not ask me if it was for my child or grandchild, thankfully, because every time someone asks me that, I have to be like, no, it's for me. So this is from like the 70s, which is really cool. I mean, she's had it literally, she got it brand new. It needs a little cleaning up, but it was a really cool find. And I did get to go to Quick Trip. Shout out to Quick Trip. Please sponsor us. That gas station has the best food. I love Quick Trip's food. I go every time on a road trip. So that was my first time. Well, not first time.
Oh, that's cute. It's Cutie, right?
Yeah, QT. Yeah.
Cutie.
And then there was also
That's the same thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was also some place that was like a
I know.
loan building of some sort. I don't know, but it was like called like Cash Cow or something. And it had a giant cow statue with glasses. And so I, of course, stopped by the road and took a picture with it. And I love any like sort of giant statues of like weird things. Like I always will take pictures with it. You can see on my Instagram. So, it was a really good trip. I got Quick Trip out of it. I got the giant cow statue, and I got this very lovely Big Bird chair. Yeah. So shout out to Big Bird. Love him.
It was lovely. I totally didn't try and sit in that, by the way, when we did an episode at your house.
You know,
it totally didn't almost break.
That chair, I know it's totally different brands here, but hear me out. That chair reminds me a lot of like the old McDonald's interior design.
Oh my goodness. I miss
Well,
90s
70s, so.
Like 90s McDonald's, like 80s, 90s McDonald's,
90s McDonald's
decor. I am obsessed with. I hate that they ever changed it. And it goes so expensive nowadays. Like even just one of the little like hamburger stools sells for like $200. So, I mean, I would love to get my hands on like a full display of some sort. One day I want my house to look like the inside of a McDonald's in 1985.
You
we'll
are
see.
the Hamburglar.
Yes.
I'm sure there's something for it.
I'm sure one day I'll find it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got that tie, didn't you?
I do have a tie.
Of like the old logo? Because we found that
Starland Emporium. Shout out Starland. Love them too.
Didn't it have a different name back then though?
Yeah, it used to be called Pre to Postmodern.
Yeah.
They go by Starland Emporium, so.
Is it the same business just
Yes.
renamed? Okay.
I feel like McDonald's, maybe I'm tripping, but like weren't their bathrooms like super cool too? Like
That
they
I
were
don't
more
remember.
there was like
remember
more
the bathrooms.
decor in the bathroom.
But maybe so.
I remember
Probably.
the old video games
Yeah.
that like seemed to like never
Oh,
really
yeah.
work, but
They never did.
they
no.
still were kind of cool.
Or the dirty play places.
Oh, so
Yeah,
it was so
those are
dirty, but
crusty,
definitely
they were
worth playing in
fun.
though.
They were
Definitely
fun.
worth.
Just never knowing
Yeah.
when you'd like
Ugh,
what
okay,
liquid.
Okay.
You know.
cut.
You just never knew.
Ew.
I mean, I was talking about McDonald's, so
Well, speaking of McDonald's, you have to have really good time management if you work at McDonald's. So we're gonna come back.
That's one of the worst transitions I think we've had on this show.
When we come back, we're gonna talk about time management, not just at McDonald's, but in your music.
I have a better one. Did the Hamburglar steal your time? We're not going to anymore because we'll be right back after this break.
Thank you once again for listening to Successfully Unsigned. I would like to take a moment during this break to remind you to visit our website at su-podcast.com to view all of the newest and latest content that we put out. Also, do us a huge favor and hit like and subscribe on this YouTube video, and like and rate us on your favorite streaming platform. Each one of those things helps us out tremendously. We would love to hear your thoughts on what artists we should have on next, what content we should cover, what kind of topics we should discuss, and any tips and tricks you might have in the music industry. Thank you for being one of our favorite listeners, and enjoy the rest of the show. Is that staying here this entire episode?
Yes.
I mean, do you want me to move it? Do you miss seeing my face?
No, not really,
That's
but
cute.
it's kind of weird with like this yellow line through it from my point of view.
No, it needs to stay.
Can you? I was going to ask if you could turn it sideways, really.
To look at you?
Well, I'd rather look at Big Bird than him.
Oh.
So Big Bird's pretty cool, man.
Okay.
Big Bird's just a big bird, you know?
He has his moments.
He's probably a government spy, but that's okay.
Wow. That's a stretch.
I mean, PBS.
I don't know what the connection. What's PBS? Is
PBS,
like
public broadcast system. It's owned by the government.
Oh,
literally.
I never thought about
And
that.
he's a bird.
Did
And birds are
Sesame
government
Street
spies.
air on PBS?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That's the only way I could have watched it.
So Elmo must be in the CIA then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, oh, shoot, the camera's on. Welcome back, everybody. Wow, we shouldn't have had that conversation. Welcome back. We are back after a really rough first segment, but we're self-aware.
If you stuck
as
around
know.
with us, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Should we let the fans in on the successors? I can't even say that word.
Uh-oh.
Szechuan
We have a new fan
sauce.
name. So, as you know, we have billions and billions of fans, and they've been saying, "Oh my goodness, guys! Like, what should we call ourselves? What should we call ourselves?
It's a big
like,
issue.
Should we be the unsigners? Should we be the signees? Should we be
The signees?
the sussies? The
Sussies. is
You a little
crazy.
sus for suggesting that.
But we had Swift artists on, and you know, as they're Swifties, obviously, and so they're like, "Well, what should y'all's fans say to me?" And we're like, "We don't know. We've been being hounded with messages by hundreds and thousands of people asking what they should be called," and they're like, "Well, what about the successors?" So, you guys are our successors.
We're going to bring this inaugural meeting of the successors to order.
You're gonna be taking this over after we're dead.
So, congratulations!
Yeah, awesome.
Congratulations!
This is your
We
podcast.
have fan names now.
That actually is low key good though, because it is a successor like gets possession. You know, like it's
He's still saying
it's yours.
successor?
You know, it's like ours and yours as well,
Successy.
because you will inherit it. Anyways, our topic tonight. We keep getting sidetracked with successors. Is it
Time.
successors or
How to
successors?
handle time management.
How to handle
which is
time
not
management.
what we're doing right now.
We have a limited time for this podcast, and we
I
are
mean, technically we do. Yeah.
poorly
No, we're good.
using it.
You understand, don't you? But yes, time management is the topic tonight. This topic was kind of on my mind just because I feel like a lot of artists kind of panic when they see other artists doing well, and they're like, "I got to do this, and this," and then quality is kind of sacrificed, you know, in the like to try and get it done in a certain time frame or whatever. I think we did talk about in one episode like having like a timeline for like your releases.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah. What are some things that come to your mind with this one?
I mean, there's a whole bunch you can get into with when it comes to time management, because it's all around us, whether it is in like releases, you know, if we're talking about singles or an album or an EP, it's in how you spend your daily, you know, life, both as just a human being, but also in trying to make music and how that fits into that. It's in how, as you spend time doing music, you know, what are you focusing on? You know, are you trying to create something new? Are you trying to rehearse? Are you trying to, you know, there's a whole lot of different elements that we could get into with this time management and other things too that we talked about that y'all both brought up before we started this podcast episode. So what kind of flavor are we looking at here?
Flavor?
Yeah.
I think the flavor to me
Is it Flav?
it's like a strawberry flavor. And
Like your
by
lemonade?
that,
Yeah.
I mean, like we talked about kind of artists panicking a second ago. I'd mentioned that, but I think having the time to like, if you don't spend time outside of music, you're not going to have inspiration to write the music itself, you know? So, you know, I've talked about before how I'll take some time away from the guitar or whatever, and then I'll come back, and then it's like this creative, you know, explosion happens. Actually, I'm working on a song right now. I literally wrote it in like 3 hours and like produced it and everything. And I was like, that hasn't happened in forever. But before that, I'd been away from music for a little bit. And so I don't know. I feel like taking that time to yourself to kind of reset is good. And yes, there can be artists. There's always going to be an artist that's like doing probably better than you, or like they're in a position that you feel like they're working harder than you. That should motivate you, yes, but it also shouldn't freak you out.
Because just know that they're looking at another artist that is doing better than them.
Yeah.
And that artist is looking at another artist that's doing better than them.
Yeah.
All the way up to, you know, your big artists who are huge, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, all those people. I mean, you literally look at Taylor Swift, the whole thing right now is an artist released something and she releases a 10 billionth version of the Tortured Poets Society or whatever it is. And it's the same thing. Every artist, when you're an artist, period, no matter if it's music or painting or television, movies, whatever, I mean, it's a competition. It shouldn't be necessarily, but you're always going to compare yourself to others. And that's something that can be a good thing, but also knowing when to step off and be like, okay, but I'm also my own individual, and this isn't necessarily like this. It's not just about, okay, am I doing better than this person?
It's really interesting you say that, because the first thought after David kind of brought us back into focus there that I had was, it's not a competition. And
It's not. It shouldn't be.
I agree with everything you said there. I guess I'm looking at it from the opposite side when I say this, in that what is it that you're making? Are you trying to build a business? Maybe, you know, if you're trying to make a living, perhaps. But your goal is not the business. Even if you start a business as an individual, your goal is not the business. Your goal is to do what the business does. In this case, make art, right? So you have to remember your purpose, which is to make art. It's not to necessarily compete with, you know, the artist next door, right? Every time I write a song, I'm not trying to compete with David and being like, oh, hey, I wrote a better song than you did.
Well, you're an entertainer.
Right, you're
So
an
it's
entertainer.
Like, yeah.
So there is a competitive element to it, and you can absolutely and should use, like you mentioned, Patrick, people around you as motivation. But it's not a competition in the sense of
It's a competition in the sense of like capitalism. Like capitalism's similar. It's like the person who you're going to put in, like you're going to get out what you put in
Yes.
in the most case. Like, but that being said, it's also like, don't get caught up in that hustle grind mentality.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
Oh
that
my
Gary
goodness.
V, like just hustle and grind. And then you're like,
Yeah.
doing what? It's like, that's an excuse. Hustle and grind.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Right.
but doing what? You know, so it's.
I think this goes back to our conversation about writer's block and how we talked about getting burnout and you know, what happens, like, okay, creatively I'm not feeling fulfilled right now, or I'm not feeling like anything coming to me. And it's a struggle, especially as an artist. Like, it's good to take the time away, but then, you know, you start to worry when you step away, because it's like, well, if I step away from my socials for a month, then all that hard work I've put in the previous months seems to just disappear. And it's a whole issue with the algorithm. Go to our writer's block episode, go to our social media episode. It's going to be kind of a combination of the two of these as well. So if you want like a full round experience of what we're talking about, those are some good like pairing episodes. But either way, just, you know, time management is something that everyone struggles with. Everyone in your life, time management is hard, especially with the hustle kind of grind culture that, especially that America has. I think it's really a problem in America. You look at other countries and they're not like rushing to like do all these things and to like constantly work every second of every day. Whereas like in America, it's like, if you're not working 24/7, then what are you doing with your life? You're a failure.
A lot of that's social media too. It
Yes.
influences you to think that people are like non-stop working and they never, but it's like everyone has different circumstances clearly. And social media is mainly highlights, right? It's not anyone's lowlights. So that can make some artists I know feel bad about where they're at, and like, which can be motivating, but it can also have the opposite effect. It's like, why even do this then if I'm not, if
you can never catch up to that, why,
right.
And so with that, I'm kind of glad you brought that, because that was a thought that I had earlier. With social media being highlights, when you're trying to work, whether it's for social media or for not, if you're trying to push your social media, then I know we've advised this in the past, and this kind of goes with time management. Well, it really goes with time management. Make batch content, make a whole bunch of content in a row in one short period of time. Take an hour to make, 10 videos or however many videos you can fit in an hour. And then you have the content going forward. And cause that's what your big accounts are doing. They're not doing one video. Oh wait, I'm supposed to post today. What do I do? No, they have that figured out. That's why you have social media managers that schedule those things out, because what you see is, oh man, it seems like they're always doing something. But really behind the scenes, they're not. You're getting the highlights of them showing, hey, well, here's a piece here, and here's a piece here, and here's a piece here. But they're posted in a consistent manner that makes it feel like that's their life. But they have a bigger life than that. And you have to as well. Because if you don't, you get burnout. If you don't, you're not going to have inspiration. If you don't, you're going to get so caught up in the weeds of everybody else is doing this and I'm doing so bad because I'm not doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm not hustling and I'm not doing these things, that you're going to eventually implode.
Well, yeah. I was going to ask you guys, do you ever listen to a song and think to yourself, this song feels forced? Like this song doesn't feel like, because that can happen, right? When you're writing a song, like you feel like, oh, I have to. That's why I will never be a like commercial songwriter, because you have to sit in a room with somebody and you schedule the day and you got to write a song. And it's like, the creative experience is so nuanced. It's like, it's not, it can be, yes, you can sit down and have a connection with somebody and write a really good song, but it can also be you sit in a room with somebody for 2 hours and it's like, nothing's coming. And so it's, I feel like just with time management, as far as that, you just have to be careful.
You know, and if you're an artist who is also writing your own music, kind of like what we're talking about in this context, again, you have to remember the purpose that you're writing, the purpose of why you do all of this. It's to create that art. It's to release that emotion. It's to be able to relate to other people. It's to, whatever your reason is, it's probably not sitting there thinking, okay, I'm going into this, the purpose being, let me just write this song in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Your purpose is to create, typically. And if you lose sight of that, then you lose the emotional connection that makes music the universal language.
Yeah.
You begin to miss those elements that make it human. And not to say that you can't schedule co-writes and that you can't do those things, because that's absolutely an avenue of business. Mm-hmm. But if that's not your goal, then don't try to get influenced and think that that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, and it's like, the whole reason I brought that up is because you have to have an outside life to have that piece about your life, and that like broad range of like different experiences and relationships with people, so that when you sit down to write a song, it's not, you have emotions to pull from, you have experiences to pull from. And it just, when you're in a happier mindset in general, like it's easier to write because you're not anxious. Like anxiety bogs down creativity in a lot of different ways. And so just like taking that time, like you had mentioned batch content. Absolutely. For me also, if you're working on a song, like work on it for like 30 minutes and then take a break for 30 minutes. Yeah. Or, just do it in smaller bits, or take some time in the morning before you start your day to work on your music, or just think of ideas. It can start as simply as just like carving out time each week before the day arrives to be like, okay, this is what I'm going to dedicate to this. Yeah. This is what I'm going to dedicate to this.
A number of years ago, I was listening to a panel discussion where the lead singer of Hailstorm, I think her name is Lizzie Hale, if I remember correctly, was talking about writing her music. And one of the things she talked about was, she said, writing, like anything else, is something that you do have to practice, right? Your first song is not going to be as good as your later songs if you continue on. Just because you will have growth, you'll have learned, you'll have practiced. It is a skill that you can develop. And so for her, one of the things that her mission that she does is, she's like, every day, she's like, I block off an hour. I block off an hour every day to go in and write. And sometimes that hour, I come away with nothing that I like. And sometimes I come away with something that's good. It's not necessarily, she's not using that hour to force herself to think certain ways or act certain ways or whatever, but an hour just to simply practice her craft and try to get better at that, and to try different things. Whether it's writing a poem or writing a song, you can take dedicated practice, doesn't detract from the emotion that you're putting into something.
Yeah.
If you go in with the intent to practice to make yourself better, then it's not detracting and doesn't devalue the outcome of the end product. Sometimes we think that, talent is all of this and talent is all of that. And then we kind of say, oh, well, if you spent all this dedicated time looking up in a dictionary the right word, or using some other tool to find something that rhymes, oh, well, then that's not as valuable. This song isn't as valuable anymore because you had to use these other tools, or maybe you read from old notes, or maybe you rewrote an old song, right? We're like, oh, well, that was cheating. That devalues the song. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Songwriting, like anything else, is a skill. Now, some people may have kind of a propensity to kind of make them better, or they have a viewpoint that brings out different thoughts that are easier to relate to as a writer. But in the end, it's still a skill that you can develop and become better at than where you are now. There's a lot of thoughts. If you like reading a book, there's a book called Talent is Overrated, which is not about music. It's not about songwriting or anything of that nature at all, but it has a lot of good information about time management and specifically dedicated practice. And I actually really enjoyed that book because it's all about getting your fundamentals. It talks a lot about like Tiger Woods and how everyone thinks, oh, he was just a prodigy and he was born into just being an amazing golfer, and he just is, he's just naturally great. But not really. His father was a golf instructor and was a golf coach, and he grew up literally in like high chairs watching his dad practice his form over and over and over for hours on end in the garage. And so, of course, when he grows up, he's already familiar with the form of swinging a golf club. You go back and look at some of the other famous composers that were prodigies, and turns out, well, they became famous in their 20s for writing stuff, but they were already writing like 10 years before they ever became famous.
Yeah.
That might be their first big piece, and everyone's like, oh, they're a prodigy. But they've been doing it for 10 years. They've been doing it for X amount of time.
Yeah.
Practicing dedicated time spent taking other people's stuff and rearranging other people's stuff, learning from other people how they became better and how they did what was good. And you can do the same thing too, and that doesn't devalue your art.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many cases like that. Even in modern day, Chappell Roan is really on the rise right now. Sabrina Carpenter, and there's so many people being like, oh my gosh, they came out of nowhere, or she's an industry plant. And it's like, okay, first off, as someone who was an OG fan of Sabrina Carpenter's music, I've been listening to her for a lot longer than just recently. But it's like, no, these artists have been doing it for a long time. And you look at a lot of the artists we've had on our show who've also been doing it, at least 10 years, and are just kind of now starting to get traction, not because they're not talented. They're very talented. We love a lot of our artists' music, but it's hard. I mean, it's a hard business, and we've said this 10 billion times, but if you're not ready to like be in the long game, you should not be an artist. And it's just one of those things where if you're truly passionate about it and you work toward it, then you can do it. But yes, with that comes time management. I interviewed an operator of a Chick-fil-A in where I live a few years ago for a school project, and I asked him, so what is it, because he had a family. He was also worked really closely with the business that I used to work at, and he was a really big customer. So I knew his family, I knew him, and I was like, so how do you balance, making sure you make time for your kids and your wife, and also like running 2 Chick-fil-A's. And he said something that has stuck with me. Shout out to Bo Noble, operator of Murfreesboro Chick-fil-A's. That should be fun. Shout out to you, Bo. Thank you. Give me a free sandwich. But he said, you know, there are different seasons of life, basically, right? So he's like, sometimes there are seasons where there is something going on with my family, or like it is just really important for me to spend time with my family, and I got to put work on the back burner. And then there are different seasons where my family's doing okay and work is really important, and I got to do that. And so translating that into your everyday life of, okay, if you're an artist, especially if you're a rookie artist starting out, you probably have a full-time job, right? Or you're going to school, or both, possibly. So you have your different kind of compartments of life. You have your social life, you have your hobbies, you have your work, maybe you have your school, and then you also have your artistry. And your goal is for your artistry and your work to eventually merge, but that's not a reality right now. And so figuring out, okay, there's a lot to balance, and it's very overwhelming. It's so overwhelming just being alive and being an adult sometimes and realizing you have 10 billion things you want to get done, you have to get done, whatever. But understanding, like, there's times where sometimes you need to take a break for a month and go home, spend time with your family.
I was working.
You were working for some of that, but also in May, you were also gone in May.
That's true. That's true.
And you were spending time with your family.
Yep.
And so, like, taking time and being like, look, I need some time to work on this versus focusing so much on my job or focusing so much on my music. Now with music, once again, it gets kind of rocky where it can be hard because it's like, okay, I want to make sure I'm being consistent with my posts or being consistent with XYZ. But at the end of the day, like, you can find your way back to, you know, doing well on the algorithm. And even those who are really grinding on that algorithm, like, they have their waves as well. You look at some of the biggest influencers, some of the biggest artists, like, they have their ups and downs of where they're doing great on social media. Selena Gomez was like the most followed person on Instagram for years and years and years. I don't think she is anymore. Maybe she still is. But I wouldn't really say people are talking about Selena Gomez's music nowadays. And obviously that's a little different, but still, it's okay. Just knowing that it's okay. Like, I don't gotta just grind. And sometimes, like, it can be oversaturated. There are certain artists where I'm like, okay, you have a release like every few weeks, and it's overwhelming for me. I'm like, you just released two songs last month. Like, I'm still listening to those. Like, you can chill with your other songs, but I also understand, like,
it's business,
in your head, you're like, okay, but I got to pump these out. So it's really, really hard to find a balance. And that just goes for life in general. If you are not even an artist and you're listening to this, you're probably relating to it.
Yeah. I think one thing we haven't even brought up is, like, accountability. Like, having, like, one thing I'll never forget, like, I was in one of those seasons where I had to work a lot and there's a lot going on with my living situation. And I remember one time one of my closer friends was like, hey, how's your music? And they just asked about it. And I remember having, like, nothing new to report. And it was just like, oh, wow. And so that person actually made my accountability partner. I was like, hey, like, could you just ask me that once a month?
That's smart. That's really smart.
And so just having, it's not exactly the fear of letting someone down. It's more of, you know, it's like a motivation of, like, there are people who care about my music. There are people who need to hear, like, get in touch with why you're doing what you're doing.
Yes.
And that stokes a fire in you, you know? Like, people could need to hear your music. You could need to hear your own music, you know, like, to regain that confidence. And, you know, why we do things directly fuel how our performance while we're doing them. And so it's like having a mission statement, you know, like, mission statements aren't made for nothing. They're made to re-energize and to help people remember why they do certain things. And so if you have a friend, if you have someone that you make music with who just, like, trust me, if you ask them, hey, like, how's your music? Like, inside them, it's going to stoke that fire. And so as far as time management, that's going to help you kind of re-energize and start to, because I mean, we're all not perfect, right? Or no one's perfect. And so you have those moments where you're kind of lethargic, or you feel like this is overwhelming, or you're in those seasons. And so that's just part of being human. And so having that accountability is huge too, to like stoke that fire, to get on the time management and to really invest in it.
This all goes back to like, I feel like our main mission statement of the show is like, build your network. Oh my goodness, build your network as an artist. Like, you need to be talking to so many people. You need to be going to so many shows. Oh, me being like, don't get overwhelmed. Yeah. Make sure you balance
hustle and grind.
But also go to every single show. No, but you need to make sure that you like are getting to know people.
Yes,
and it doesn't always have to be like, okay, so what's in it for me? What does this person have that I need? But just creating those different avenues and like just meeting different people. And I know that can in of itself be overwhelming. But once you start doing it, like, it gets a lot better, and it makes your job so much easier because you have so many people that want to help you out. And I know so many artists who, even with the content thing, like, they get together and kind of help each other with each other's content for content days or whatever it might be. Yeah. And that's really helpful for them because now it's not just on me to prop my phone up, but I now have someone who can help me film, and I can have someone to bounce off ideas. And I mean, that just goes for anything, right? Like, literally brainstorming. Just think about group projects, despite how terrible they could sometimes be. Sometimes you really get great group projects where it's like, okay, well, if I mess my part up, then these people are going to be let down. And so finding those people, those like-minded people who have the same kind of goals and
aspirations.
Yes, aspirations as you do. That I feel like I bring up Atlanta from Hexproof all the time too. But the part of the reason why I'm such close friends with her is because she has helped me change my mindset to be like, okay, it's not a matter of if, but when for different aspects of my life. And that's how she sees her music. And if you have that mindset, even during the times where you get overwhelmed, it's like, you know what? I'm overwhelmed right now, but that's okay. Yeah. Because eventually I'm going to make my goal.
Yeah. Just like learning how to quiet that inner, part of you that that's trying to honestly fill you with doubt. Unfortunately, that anxiety can do that, and that being overwhelmed, and you just
go watch Inside Out too.
And I want to say real quick, before we move on to our next segment, Patrick, as well as Patrick is saying about building your network. I mean, yes, we harp on that and we talk about it all the time because it is so vital. But also, like you said, it's not always about what's in it for me. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's literally nothing more than go have fun with this.
Yes.
And meet the people that are around you. When you go to these shows, when you do make new connections, yes, there's quite potentially, a benefit to your career out of it. Absolutely. It's not something to just dismiss, but also you quite possibly might make a great friend. And that should be your primary driving factor to go talk to these people. Like, hey, this could be really interesting. You can make a new friend. You can make a memory if it's at a show. You can have a new experience from a new band or whatever. Both the people on stage, the audience that's around you, the people that are working the merch booth, whatever that looks like. They're people that you can go and become friends with. And maybe it does help your career, but ultimately it can also help you just as a person in that moment have new friends and get the social interaction that sometimes introverted artists, if you're locked away in your house writing all the time, need. Yeah. And you never know what inspiration you can get out of conversations.
That was beautiful, Dill.
So
that was gorgeous.
Thank you.
With that, we're going to be right back.
Hey guys, what's up? It's DJ Patty G. I hope you guys have been enjoying the show so far. If you want to go find more, go to our website, su-podcast.com. We have lots of cool playlists there, whether it be from artists that we've had on the show or with other independent artists from all over the world. Also, make sure to follow us at successfully_unsigned on all of our platforms, as well as Unsigned Podcast on TikTok. you guys will be our best friend if you go rate us 5 stars on all platforms. And if you like and subscribe this video, make sure to keep watching so you can see more of our shenanigans and other tomfoolery. Thanks, guys. We were working on our time management during the break. Sorry.
We really were.
Were we?
No.
A little bit.
Speaking of time management, we just collaborated on Instagram with the band Dawn. Oh, I'm literally wearing their shirt. Hoping to have them on the show soon, but they have a song called BRBTTYL, and it's about just like wishing you could go back to pre-internet days, or like like iPhone days, to where you like had to log on the internet and you're not just constantly on it. And we did talk about screen time.
Oof.
And mine, just go watch the
pretty
Instagram.
rough.
It's on our Instagram at successfully_unsigned. I'm sitting in a car. And comment what your screen time usually is. I had to turn mine off. I'll just tell you that.
Oh,
Your
no.
screen time?
I turned mine off
So
because I was ashamed.
You ignored the problem instead of fixing it?
Yeah, so don't do that for time management.
So actually,
Don't do what I do.
about a month ago, I went ahead and deactivated like my personal social media accounts because various reasons, but one of which, when I was trying to go through, was I saw my screen time. I was like, oh, and I realized how often, just out of habit, I would just flick over and hit.
Yeah.
I remember Facebook alone was like, which for me, I feel like this is bad. I don't know. Other people might be on there way more than I was. I was on Facebook on average like an hour and a half a day, and then I was like hitting. I was opening the app like on average like 120 something times, just out of habit, just flick over. And I might be on there for like 20 seconds, but I flick over and hit it. And I was like, this is not good. And I didn't look at my Instagram screen time or other social medias.
I guarantee.
And so, when I got rid of it, I found myself literally out of habit sliding over and hitting that blank space where like that app was. And I was like, oh,
Yep.
oh. So I'm
So
He's been bit.
For time
I've been bit.
management, the overall thing is careful with your socials and the doom
Yes.
scrolling. That's what will really get you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But speaking of, we're going to be on our phones today. And we're going to play a little game that David found called Spottle.
You guys know it's becoming a lot bigger now.
Oh,
I
really?
feel like people are.
Okay, well, we
asking
were
me.
going to do this like over a month ago, so we're the OGs.
Yeah, we're the OGs.
We knew about it before it was cool.
Oh yeah.
So you basically guess an artist of the day, and as you guess more and more, it'll tell you like whether you're close, like
Gives you clues.
yeah, it gives you clues of like, oh yes, it is, this artist is male or female. It is they are American or Australian or whatever, or they're pop, R&B, hip hop, whatever. So who wants to do the first guess? There's no clues to start off.
James Taylor.
Let's get
It's
on
not
start.
gonna be him, but
We just talked about James Taylor on our Anna Wagner episode.
nice.
Okay, it did not put James Taylor, just put James Bay. But it actually really helped.
James Bay.
Did it help?
Because their debut was in 2014. They are male and their genre is pop. But they are not solo, and they are not from the UK, and their popularity is more than 594.
2014
Yes.
male
Pop.
pop. Harry Styles. Was he before that?
Well, he was in One Direction before that, but
He
I
was
don't
in
know
One
when
Direction,
he
but his debut was technically 2017.
Well, it said
Oh,
it wasn't.
also he's from the UK.
Oh
went.
shoot.
He is from the UK. Oh, you. So
It's
our
someone who's not
someone
from the
not
UK.
Okay, debut 2014.
But it's not a solo, so they're in a group now.
Yes, I guess
So it's the name
it
of the
says
group.
members solo, and it doesn't have the...
Okay.
So my guess is it's a band? A boy band? Oh, can I guess? Am I allowed to guess?
Yeah.
Is it 5 Seconds of Summer?
They're older than that, though, aren't they?
It's 5 Seconds of Summer!
It was.
Yes!
Wow.
Oh my goodness. The way I just ate. Y'all are losers!
The first guess, dude. Literally the
because
first
I was
guess.
like, okay, so it's debut 2014 and it's a boy band because they said all male. So I'm like, or it said male, so I'm assuming it was all male. So I was like, okay, who was all male? Who was around the One Direction time? Because I knew it wasn't One Direction. 5 Seconds of Summer.
Wow.
It looks so perfect standing there in my American Apparel underwear.
2014 though.
And they're Australian, which I actually thought they were
Aussie.
American. But
Jeez.
popularity 203, genre pop, gender male, debut 2014, members 4. And I know a lot of 5 Seconds of Summer girlies, so let us know if you guess 5 Seconds of Summer when I did. So we went from James Taylor, which corrected to James Bay, to Harry Styles, to 5 Seconds of Summer. I'm so
Very
proud
different
of,
artists
This
there,
is
though.
so cool. Wow, we got that in less than 4 guesses.
That was unexpected. Like I
Wow.
thought we were
Yeah,
gonna be
I-
here for 22 minutes.
Same. I was like, we're definitely not getting this. Do we want to do it on someone else's phone?
Yeah. Dale.
Sure.
It's spottle.io because it only lets you do it once a day. But if you would like to go play for yourself, spottle.io, SPOTLE.io. Spottle sponsor us.
Yes.
Actually, that'd be such a good sponsor.
That would be cool. What if you did it with podcasts though?
Hmm?
What if you did it with podcasts though? You had to guess what podcast it was.
Oh,
that'd
there's
be
too
hard.
many. And,
Yeah,
Everyone
ours-
would just guess
Ours
Joe
would be-
Rogan.
Ours would be number 1 popularity. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
and if it ain't, that's your fault.
What would our prompt be for people? Be like
Are you a successor?
early 2020s, all male.
Okay.
All right. What's our first guess as for the artist? Where are we starting off?
You start because I went last.
I don't even know. Justin Timberlake. Just throw something in.
Justin Timberlake. All right. So, once again, male artist. Genre is pop. Debut 2002. Solo. American.
2002. It is 2002.
2002.
Oh, okay. Solo pop 2002. Is male
Male, right?
or no?
Male.
Okay.
Mario?
I was like Super Mario. What?
Nope. Nope.
Does it say from the U.S. or no?
From the U.S.
Can I see?
It's American.
Okay. No, Dale doesn't know what he's talking about. Can I see? It is a
What?
male and the genre is pop.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
So the greens.
That's what I
means-
said.
But you were saying the debut was 2002.
Oh, so it's
and
newer
they're
than 2002.
From the USA. They're not from the US, and their debut is higher than 2002.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Oh, I see.
So when it's green, that means you got it
I
right.
see. Okay, I got what's going
So
on.
not from the US, and it's male.
Not from the U.S. Male pop.
Okay.
Newer than 2002.
Okay, and it's not even yellow, so it's probably a little bit. Harry Styles.
Yeah, about to say, should we just guess that again just to narrow it down?
Harry Styles. No, he is too new. His debut was 2017, but we're much closer. Much closer.
And he's not from the. This person's not from the UK.
Not from the
Are they
UK.
solo or no?
Well, actually, I'm gonna assume not because
Okay, so
solo
it's
is
a
not lit up.
band.
It is a band.
Popularity is less than 133.
Wait, are they all the same every day? Is it 5 Seconds of Summer again?
Guess that real quick.
Wait.
It is.
Oh. We're
Talk
so
about-
good at this game.
Talk about time management. We just got punked by.
We did.
We lost
Man.
how many minutes to?
Dang it.
I wish they would let us do more than one, but
Yeah.
Spottle, you really should sponsor us because we could easily do one game a episode. Just saying.
That's how they keep you coming back. But
Yeah.
they're helping you with time management because they don't want
Wow.
you to be on your phone doing it all day.
You know what?
Smart.
That is
Shout
smart.
out Spottle.
Like what you're doing, piece. What do we do now?
Well, I guess form a boy band from Australia.
What would our
A
boy
boy
band?
band?
A boar band?
A boar band.
We're all just like wild hogs. We're boars now.
Ew, no, boars scare me. I mean,
Why?
remember
I feel
when
like
we saw
most
that,
wild animals scare
that's
you.
true. But remember when I saw that dead boar on the side of the road on our way back from Oklahoma
No.
What?
last year?
No.
It was scary. It was huge. I thought it was like a giant panther or something, and I was like, oh, I've never
goodness.
seen a boar like in person, and they're so big and scary.
I mean, they're
I don't
pretty
think you
good.
saw it, but I remembered like yelling about it.
Maybe I was sleeping.
Maybe.
I don't know why this made me think of, or that made me think of this, but have you guys seen the trailer for the live action Lion King?
Bruh. Disney, stop.
The trailer?
Stop.
I
Please
agree.
stop.
Are they doing a second one? Because they
They're
made
doing a prequel.
They're doing a
about
prequel
Mufasa,
about Mufasa. Yeah.
and it's live action, except all the animals are generated
Yeah.
CGI. I am interested though because Blue Ivy, I think it's her debut. Interesting.
I have no idea who that is.
Blue Ivy's Beyonce's daughter.
It's
So
like-
Beyonce's in it because she was in the Lion King. I'm just like, bro, we don't care.
Where all of the voices are like, they just don't fit.
They don't fit. Seth
like-
Rogen is in it.
Of course he is.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
of
Seth Rogen
course.
was.
Zazu.
Oh my God.
I'm thinking he is.
Seth
Or
Rogen
he's
was
the
in Zazu.
hyena.
No, Seth Rogen is
Zazu?
he's the hog.
Oh, that makes sense. That
Oh.
checks out.
Yeah, he was another one, which I think that's a great voice casting personally.
No, it's perfect for the
Yeah,
hog.
it's
Yeah.
just like
It's gotta be a
what is
goofy.
his name? Puma.
Please
Puma.
stop with the live action Disney.
Agreed.
I'm praying. I'm begging.
Yeah.
They're not good. I like the Little Mermaid, and that was pretty much it.
I still haven't seen that
Well,
one.
it's like kids are like growing up now and they don't know the original one. Like this is their original one. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, Little Mermaid.
If it was
to
made well, I
see-
wouldn't mind as much. But it's just the fact that like they just keep pumping them out, and like they're not good.
Yeah.
Sonic.
No, I love the live action Sonic. That's not a remake. That's not a live action remake.
They had to reanimate it, didn't they?
Yeah, that's true.
I love Sonic.
I am excited to see Lilo and Stitch though.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's a good one to do for that.
Yeah, it's I don't know. That's a rough one.
David is only looking for the one part. His favorite line.
He's unconscious, but I think he's alive. That's my favorite part in the whole movie. But no, didn't they just have Comic-Con last month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch any of the Marvel trailers
No.
at all? Okay.
No, the only thing I know is about Doctor Doom and
Yeah.
I am disappointed in that
what's
casting.
his name?
What casting?
Robert Downey Jr.
Me too.
Because like I love RDJ. He's a phenomenal actor. But why are you double casting someone who's already been in the universe in such an established role for so
Agreed.
long?
And here's the answer. Money. Money. And look, man, I just I cannot believe the oversaturation of Disney. Like the Kang Dynasty was supposed I'm just gonna go on a rant here. Kang Dynasty was supposed to be the next Avengers movie. They're scrapping it.
Oh yeah.
They're not even going to go with that storyline. And that
I
is
saw that.
such a rich storyline.
It is.
And they literally, the Ant-Man 2 was like not good anyways.
It was three.
But
Were any of them good?
it was,
Quantumanium was the third one.
third one, yeah.
Yeah.
Second one was
that
Ant-Man and the
bad.
Wasp was
It was mid.
It was
very
mid.
like
the
below
first
mid.
Ant-Man was fun.
That one was fun.
I liked the first Ant-Man.
Okay, so go back to our very, very first. No, maybe it's our second episode. I don't remember. It's an episode where David brings a comic book for Show and Yell. And he lets the audience know he had been to every single Marvel. What is it?
It was
Premiere?
every
late night
opening
premiere,
night of every Marvel movie
Yeah.
from Iron Man until Avengers Endgame.
which is insane. So
It's nuts.
Marvel,
Yeah.
you letting this man down. You letting our
No,
man David down.
You're letting me down, Kevin.
So
You're letting me down. But no, they went with Kang Dynasty and
Yeah.
they built all this like exposition up to it, and then
Yeah.
they scrapped it. And granted, Secret Wars, it's a great time. Yeah, we get it. It's awesome, but also just you're doing too
They've
much.
done
How
so
they
much
did the
Secret
Secret-
Wars in like animated shows, haven't they? I remember
Yeah,
they did
yeah.
it for Spider-Man.
Well, animated
In the 90s.
what animated shows do? Are you talking about the shows or the movies? The
Neither.
movies?
I don't know.
Because there are
The shows,
like
I guess.
animated movies that come out before the live action movies, like because people can't wait for it, and it's literally just to get like you to buy a movie you think is the for kids to like see the movie before it comes out or whatever. Like before Avengers Infinity War, there were like 2 animated movies. Infinity War, like they were kids versions though, and it was just like. I don't know, man. It's such oversaturation. To me, it all ended when Disney Plus started becoming a thing, and like everything
Yeah.
it has to have
Yeah.
every character in every Marvel movie has to have a backstory.
Yeah.
enough.
So many
we don't.
shows.
Some of
It's
the
hard
first-
to catch up.
We don't need a backstory of a cat in the background of Ant-Man. Like it would just enough with that. I mean, Loki was a great story, and it is a great story, and it played into the Quantum
There's
Mania.
a handful that were pretty good.
Oh, I loved Scarlet Witch. I did
WandaVision?
love
It was good.
And I enjoyed
enjoyed it.
Hawkeye. You know what part I love that Dale hates of Hawkeye is the musical. The Avengers musical
Oh, no.
is genius.
It's-
I love it. And then they
Yeah.
ended up doing an actual version at Disney, and I wanted to go so bad.
And I
Dale
like-
wanted to go too.
The thing about those two is like that was around COVID, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so people were like unified by
Yeah.
WandaVision and Loki, and like everyone's watching Disney Plus, and it was like fresh off of Endgame, and and it was cool.
Yeah.
And then everyone started having a life again, and then it's like,
And then we got She-Hulk.
The
my
shows
gosh.
tanked very quickly. Like those first couple of shows they came out with, it's kind of like Mandalorian. Like the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian were really good, and then the plot ended, and there wasn't originally going to be a season 3. But when they brought it back for season 3, it just
She-Hulk
She-Hulk
I
was.
was an abomination, and that's not a joke.
I
That's
was
Yeah.
so excited for She-Hulk because I love She-Hulk's like character. I don't know that much about her, but like, and I loved WandaVision, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, girl power, let's go. Oh, it was so bad. I tried so hard to love it, y'all. I tried so hard, but
Bro.
it just was so
The
poorly
part
written.
that made me the most mad, I was like, it was poorly written, and to an extent, I was like, maybe I can get past this. Okay, the dialogues are off. I was excited to see Daredevil's return. I think Charlie Cox is an amazing
That was
actor.
the only good episode.
He's a phenomenal Daredevil. But the part of that whole show that sealed the fate was the last episode, and how they watched.
so awful.
They watched
Bro.
they wasted your entire time of the entire season because everything comes up to the end, and then they're like, oh yeah, that doesn't happen. We're just gonna like revoke everything we've done up to this point and just be like, nah, okay.
This is such a side comment, but
punked.
shout out to anyone who ever watched the full series of Pretty Little Liars and got to the final episode. I am still so angry at the writers. I forget her name, Margaret something. Girl, I hope you're having a bad day.
real quick. Guess how much the budget was for She-Hulk the first season?
102 million.
102 million.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I don't know. I'm not good with
225 million.
Oh my
for that
goodness.
junk.
It was so bad.
I
y'all.
mean,
They could have paid me $1,000 and I could have written a better script for a whole season
it
of
was
that.
bad.
Bro,
It was
I
And
mean-
I'm not a screenwriter.
it's
At
just
all.
the way and like, what's y'all's opinion on Captain Marvel movies? Before I go in this,
I love Brie Larson. I love Brie Larson's album from 2004. So random. But I mean, they're fine. Like, I don't really have
The first
big opinion on them.
first movie
I don't really remember them.
was okay. I haven't seen the second one.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one.
there's a
I
reason.
think visually speaking, like she looks like the character. I
don't think
I
that,
don't
though.
like how she portrays the attitude of the character.
Brie Larson.
Which is so funny because she's an amazing
She's
actress.
a great actress. I love her in a lot of stuff. I do not like her in this movie. She's great in Scott Pilgrim's.
Yes.
Yes.
She is
Yes.
not great.
Friend of a friend.
Right. And it's like, I know Disney's waving money in your face, but is there any embarrassment anymore? Is anyone ever embarrassed by their like portrayals of certain characters?
Yeah.
To be fair, if Disney gave me a check to be in a Marvel movie, I'm taking it, whether I know I'm fit for the role or not. Are you a sellout? Yes, I am.
But then you're a meme. You're
Yeah.
a meme forever. You
One
know?
thing that
But
Disney
Brie Larson, like, she has the career to back
She
herself up
has-
to where she's probably fine. Like,
Right.
the thing Disney did really well and I think what made phase 1 and even phase 2 so successful is when they were casting and making their choices, they weren't choosing current A-list actors. Now they were choosing people a lot of times that had some experience and were maybe known in specific genres. You know, you might know them over here, but they weren't like, oh, everybody knows these people.
Yeah.
They were choosing people with enough experience to be able to act well, but not so much fame that they brought in all this baggage of like, oh, they only play this one type of character.
Yeah.
Or people who had acted when they were younger and have had a huge break in their career as far as like they took time off, like Robert Downey Jr., for instance. And so he's able to take a little bit of a reset because his stardom was when he was a lot younger and maybe he was a little more typecast, but he's older now and can overcome that because of age and time. You know, and they were able to mold and choose people that people didn't have expectations of coming into it, and they were able to fit those characters wonderfully. And then now that's changed. Now they're starting to try to pull in actors that are, these are already huge name actors.
Yeah.
We're just going to shoehorn them into this role. But everybody's like, but that's already so-and-so. We know what they're like, and we expect them to act the same. And they do act the same because that's them.
Yeah.
They're casting based off of money and potential income for the name that is being brought in, rather than, is this person the right person for the role? Can they shift and change and mold into this role the way it needs to?
It's also the director too. Like a great director, like the Russo brothers are great directors.
Civil War? Or not Civil War.
Yeah.
Civil War is great as well.
Winter Soldier's
the one I'm thinking
Civil
of.
War, Avengers Infinity War, and Endgame were all directed by the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
And even Taika Waititi, like Thor. Now, granted, Thor: Love and Thunder is like, but
yeah,
Thor Ragnarok was amazing.
Great movie.
And I don't know, man. It made me so mad when I started like really trying to invest, because I used to love Marvel so much.
Yeah.
Like, it was so exciting to see the movies and how they connected.
Yeah.
And you always wanted that post-credit scene and like, what's going to happen? How does it connect? How does it tie in? And now it's like, okay, well, what you just said was a thing. Now it's not a thing because you did this, and it doesn't make sense anymore. There's like clear time gaps in some of the story exposition.
It's a lot.
It's just a lot to keep up with, to the point where you bring a friend with you to one of these movies and they're like, dude, I don't know what's going on, man. I'm sorry. And you're like, well, that's because you haven't watched 27 movies.
It's gotten too big, and it's now eclipsed what is really possible to keep up with in a lot of cases, and it's grown too big for its own nature. And like, how do you get bigger than this? Well, let's do this, and then it's like this crazy idea. But going back in time to when like Infinity War first came out, something I told some of my friends then, and I still stand by, is I really wanted them to. I knew they wouldn't because money's involved, and they've made way too much money since then. But when Infinity War happened and the snap happened, and half the universe is completely gone, I was sincerely hoping that all of the promotion leading up to that, talking about how there was going to be another movie, which was Endgame afterwards, I was sincerely hoping that someone there had the spine to let it end with Infinity War and let the good guys lose. Let the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe end, for the sake of art and for the sake of how bold of a statement that would have been. No, I'm serious.
People would be rioting in the streets.
People would be rioting in the streets, but you look back 10, 20 years from now and you're like, man, that was a epic ending, and somebody had, the guts to pull this off.
Hashtag Thanos was right.
And in the end, what do we get? What do we get? We get something that's gotten too big for itself and doesn't know how to scale back.
It doesn't land all the...
How do you go back?
You think about the comic books growing up, like, I mean, that's a lot to keep up with too. I mean, there's so many comic books, so many different timelines, but it is a little different because like Marvel movies are like such a comic books is more like, okay, you have kind of certain people who really care about comics, whereas Marvel movies kind of appeal to the mass audience. I had a film teacher that talked about superhero movies, and he's like, they're gonna fade out soon. He's like, we had our natural disaster movies in the like 90s and early 2000s, and we had the whatever kinds of movies before that, and now we're having the superhero crazy phase, and it's gonna move on to something else, and
to AI.
and that's why I was hoping, let them take all this momentum and let them carry that with them to not a natural end, because the natural end is the slow decline into dementia. Let it end when it's at its climax and be something epic. Take a stand for something.
Hire Dale, Marvel.
Oh boy.
Or Disney.
Could you imagine that movie?
Get Dale at the Disney
Stickball Man.
Yo.
David, have I ever shown you my action figure collection? I need to show you it next time. Showing y'all next. Showing y'all. I literally have about 18 billion collections, and I used to collect action figures. And I would rip them all out of the box. Vintage ones.
Yeah.
Do you have like action figures of us yet?
No, but I mean, we could sell that as merch. We still don't have merch. My mom the other day was like, "Do you guys have T-shirts?"
If we had bobbleheads of all of us, would you guys buy them?
That'd be cute.
That'd be awesome.
I have a bobblehead size. Okay, so speaking of time management, the last 20 minutes.
That was actually dope. I'm glad I had to get that out. I was like,
Yeah.
it was
David's
hard bring
like,
some anger.
hey guys, what do you think about transitioning into a Marvel podcast?
Yeah. I mean, I could sit here and talk about how Captain America Civil War was not right because the roles are reversed, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to talk about how Iron Man should have been Captain America and Captain America should have been Iron Man. We're going to do that another time because we gotta get off of here. So
If you stayed this long, congrats to you.
Yes.
Thank
This
you.
has been a very sporadic, random episode.
yeah.
Very random. But it was fun.
But we are glad that our successors are back with the successees and
The sussies.
the sus. And we are thankful that you're here. Thank you so much for listening to Successfully Unsigned. I think it's time for us to leave and go to bed with our delirious minds. And we'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Where can they find us?
You can find us at successfully_unsigned on Instagram, Unsigned Podcast on TikTok, and anywhere that you can stream podcasts. You can find us at Successfully Unsigned. Don't forget to rate us on your favorite streaming platforms. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Until next time.
Love you guys. Goodbye.